If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started.
All right, welcome. So this is Passive Prospecting, YouTube for Real Estate. I couldn't tell you which episode this is. I have no idea, but whatever it says on the podcast, if you're going to be on the podcast later after this. But let's see here. We are talking about finding your unique voice on video. And if you're watching this on the video podcast later on down the road and you see some weird dude sitting behind me, say hi, Nick.
Hey, everybody.
So Nick, this is something I've been talking about. I'll actually just address this real quick. This is something I've been discussing probably, I don't know, it seems like forever. It's just something that I've envisioned for a while, wanted to get implemented, but have been just looking for the right person. And that's a content curator for our team. And a content curator is really somebody that is dialed in, which is Nick. I can refer to him as Nick now. It was just a person we were trying to find before, a unicorn. Really responsible for the pre and post production. So actual content creation on the front end, which is really structuring videos and not scripting, but developing some content ideas. Somebody who can go in, first of all, who's analytical and can go in and start looking at our channels, digging in a lot deeper, just because it's something that I still look at the channel every single day, but to just spend an hour deep diving into it, it's not something that I really have much time for these days. So my main goal is more content, right? I mean, that's what I should be doing, is creating more content. And that's what I want to do, is create more content. If you think I've been producing a lot of content now, wait till you see what happens when you have a content curator. So, his position is really working on understanding the analytical back ends of our channel, of our websites, all that, to make it one cohesive unit. We call this before the SEO ecosystem, which really involves YouTube, your website, Google Business Profile, Pinterest. When we started on Pinterest a little over a year and a half ago, a lot of people don't realize Pinterest is a search engine. It's in the top 5 search engines in the world. I think it might be number 5. So it's like Google, YouTube, Bing, maybe Yahoo, I don't know. And then Pinterest is right up there as a search engine. And we started out, we were, pinning things, just kind of reposting from our blogs, thumbnails, videos, clips, things like that on there. And we're up to, I just looked last night, we're up to 5,700 views per month, which we started at less than 1,000. Well, we started at 0 really, but just been working on it over the last year and a half. And we were at 1,000, kind of like 1,000 a month for almost a year, it seemed like. It's really, I think, the last 6 months that it started to take off. And you can link your website, you can link YouTube, you can link things in there, and so that's going to direct people right back to that. So if you look at Pinterest, WordPress, Google Business Profile, YouTube, I think that's what we like to call the SEO ecosystem. So now Nick will be looking at our channel. He's going to be looking at different suburbs. Rankings can change a lot, where we've held the top position. We've held the top position in several categories in suburbs, a lot of areas. I think we were looking at it last week. Like if you search Dallas, Texas real estate on YouTube, we had the first couple of videos popping up, which is extremely powerful. But it doesn't mean somebody can't come in there and try to knock us off in a week or two. So that's an ever-changing position. So we're going to start looking at suburbs and neighborhoods a lot more deeply to instead of just making content, we're going to be very strategic about making content. Not that I wasn't before, but at the same time, I was just like, let me make content everywhere as much as possible, which is great. But now we're going to be looking at it a lot more strategically, as far as, okay, well, we lost position. We fell out of the top 3 in Irving or something like that. So Irving, well, we need to make a video this week on Irving. Let's gain a position back. Or maybe we need to re-optimize some of the other videos. So those types of things, somebody to really be dedicated on that end, so he'll start creating that flow and that format for the following week about what content should I create? So therefore, what I've always seen this is kind of like the newscaster that walks in for the day and is handed a stack of papers, and it's like, here you go, here's what you do, get on camera and do your thing. And that's the position that I want to be in, so that I can continually make more content, but it's very strategic and specific about where we're going. On top of that, post-production is once it's recorded, making sure it's getting to all the right people, scheduled, running through the editing process, getting scheduled. So that's on the back end. And that's the way we discussed kind of his position was, it's probably, half the day, every single day. So 5 days a week, half the day is probably going to be creating, analyzing, looking, creating. And the second half is probably going to be organizing, producing, or making sure everything flows through, scheduling, just formatting, things like that. So I think a pretty good mix, pretty good balance. And of course, we're going to be digging into different topics every week. We're working on 3 different channels now. We're having more opportunities come up. We're having other companies reach out to us about partnerships on their channels, and if we want to be able to do that, we're going to need this as well, because this could expand into a lot more. So if you're watching on the video podcast, that's Nick's it's first day today, actually. So we're just throwing him in the fire, and he's over here with me. And the funny thing is I leave out of town today, of course, and I'm going to a conference through Saturday. So he's going to be kind of on his own, although he'll be in good hands with Chrissy and Emily and the rest of the team. I'm sure they'll keep him busy, but I'll load him up today with some stuff to keep him busy for the week. And then, of course, when we go to these events, I'm speaking 3 times this week at this conference, that's a lot, but hey, I'll take it. It's a good opportunity. So I'm speaking 3 different days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And 2 are breakout rooms, and then Saturday is on the main stage general session. So that's a huge opportunity. And then, of course, once we come back from that event, we're going to have a ton of footage, not just only my 3 speaking events, but we get stopped and ask questions. People talk to us all the time, and we document all that process. And so that will become reels and long form content. I mean, we just come back with a ton of footage. And so even though he didn't have to create that, he'll coordinate making sure that gets scheduled, starts getting published, and kind of working from there. So that's the position we were looking for, what we called the content curator, which is really involved in pre and post production, so that we can step this up a notch and see if we can actually do some damage in our market. So that's something exciting, something that I think, as you start to grow and expand your team, you want to start looking at these positions and start thinking about where you can optimize and maximize so that you can do things that are the highest revenue generating activities for you in your business. And what is that? So, as much as I don't mind the research, and I've done it for the last couple of years, it's just at a point now to where I would rather make 2 or 3 extra videos than spend time researching to make 1 or 2 videos. And that's probably the balance. Instead of me researching to make 1 or 2 videos, if, as long as Nick handles that, then I could probably make 4 or 5 videos easily per week, which is the goal. Not that that's what's going to get published, but we want to get on a pretty good schedule, get ahead, and start really focusing in on maintaining, because we've created a lot of our own competition as well in Dallas. So as things heat up, and the thing is I know we talk about there's not really competition. It comes down to personality, which I believe that, but there are more videos out there. There's more videos in Dallas, and we want to make sure we maintain a good position in the marketplace. And so we know people. It was funny story last night. I just moved into the new house over the last week, and I was I was actually collapsing boxes last night in the garage. And we're in the garage collapsing boxes, and the garage door is open, and this family's driving by on a golf cart, because it's a golf cart community, and they stop. And he turns off the golf cart, and he's like, "Hey, you getting all settled in?" And I said, Yeah, just working on getting some cleanup. And he goes, he's like, "You're Levi, right?" And I said, he goes, yeah, you got the YouTube channel, right? And I said, yeah, that's me. And he goes, yeah. He goes, man, we watched your channel. A lot. We watched it a lot. It really helped us make the move here. And I said, well, did you give us a call? He goes, I'm sorry. We already had another agent, at the time, but we watched all of your videos, and the kids were like, oh, it was just funny. And that was the second person within the neighborhood already that had recognized me. So that's the funny thing is that happened on Saturday too, when we were out filming too. The guy was like, he came outside and he was like, hey, aren't you on YouTube? I was like, yep. And he goes, yeah, man, I love your videos. And I said, did you give us a call? He was like, oh, I'm sorry. So it's going to happen. The thing is that even if not everybody calls you from your videos, they're going to know who you are. And it's just interesting that we still do the amount of business that we're doing, and clearly we're still missing people. You're never going to capture the whole market. But I do know one thing: if we didn't have videos on YouTube, we wouldn't do the business that we're doing, period. Allow me to take a quick break to remind you that we have very important links in the description below. If you want the full story of how we closed over $1 million in commissions our first year and over $2.3 million in commissions our second year, check out the first link. Also, you have the link to our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Passive Prospecting. Last, if you enjoy this podcast and you're a giving person, leave a 5-star review, please. Now back to the episode. So, maybe we'll catch him on the second round. We'll now that we're neighbors, this guy lives across the street from me actually. And so I don't know, he'll be hard to avoid me next time if he tries to sell or get out. So it's funny, people are watching, and maybe you don't catch them the first time, but maybe you do the next time. So finding your voice, this is something that I think a lot of us really struggle with. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I think a lot of people are always wondering how to find their voice, and is this something they can do? So I guess making the move into video as you're doing that shift, all these types of thoughts and things go into your head about, can I do this? How do I do this? Am I going to make sense? It's funny because we just filmed the last 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which was 3 out of 5 days. We just shot for 5 days total with a major network, and it was interesting just to kind of go through that process. And again, you would just they would cue you up on some things to say. You would say it, and then she'd either stop or start or kind of jump in or kind of help you out. And it's the same way. It's sometimes it's a little more difficult when you're by yourself. And the thing is that you really are going to find your voice mainly, number one, through repetition, right? Just doing it, getting involved, doing it more and more and more, because there's times even to this day that I will record and I will just not really feel like did I do it 100%? Did I make sense? Did everything come out all right? It's, I'll record and I'll just go, I don't know, and then I'll stop and restart and have to go back. And so I have to work through that. And so whenever I'm doing that, it's just a matter of going, okay, I know as long as I have really clear start and stop points, first of all, then the editor should be able to pick it up and make it look good. And that's really the key thing is a lot of this will come together in the editing process. So it's funny, like in our program, I have a raw video in there, which is, it came out to about a 30-minute video, but it was, I think, 46 minutes total. So I just posted the whole raw video. And I'm wondering, let me know in the chat if you'd be interested in me posting that to our YouTube channel, to where you see where I record start to finish completely raw. So you can kind of see me mess up, and I'm by myself. So I'm by myself recording, messing up, starting over, going back, looking at notes. I'm just kind of going through the whole process. And at the end of that, when you're done, I hit stop record, and it's kind of like, all right, well, there was almost 16 extra minutes of excess, right? I know that it's going to get chopped out. I don't know what the exact time is, but that was something I looked at. Is I had 46 minutes of footage. Whenever the final edited video came back, it was closer to 30 minutes. So 16 minutes of pauses and stops and restarts and messing up and stumbling over my words and okay, I can't say this. And when you're doing that by yourself, it becomes very interesting. It's really it's determined whether you're just going to work through that and keep going, or are you going to get inside your head and quit. And the thing is that I just do it, and it's so natural now. I understand that if I screw up in the middle of a sentence, I don't have to go back and start over that whole paragraph, or start over from the beginning. It's like if I record a good intro and I get a good 2 or 3 minutes in and then I mess up, okay, stop, go back, rewind, a sentence, maybe a word, two, or a sentence, maybe something. It's funny, you'll see me pause in that video. Sometimes I'll pause. My hand gestures will be I'll stop. I'll kind of like freeze myself if I mess up. So that way I know that it can be a very quick edit. But for me, the thing is that also you're going to find out, people also say that, I don't like the way I look and I don't like the way I sound. The funny thing is about the way you sound is you're used to hearing your voice inside your head. And that is different than the way you actually sound. So whenever you play yourself back on audio or video, that is the way you sound. Ever recorded a voicemail, like your voicemail message, and you listen to it and you're like, wait a second, that's not me. Well, that is you. That's you to the rest of the world. So when you record yourself on video and you play that back and you're like, well, I don't like the way I sound. Well, that's the way you sound to everybody else. And the thing is that you also don't want to point out any insecurities. So if you have I apologize to any people with a giant left eyebrow, but I'm just throwing that one out there. Don't tell people, hey, don't mind my giant left eyebrow, or don't look at my giant left eye. I don't know, just, don't point those things out. Most people, actually nobody will probably ever notice until you point it out. And then it's the thing that they'll never stop looking at. But all of those things really encompass and just kind of play back into, hey, I've got to get through the repetition, get more and more in the process. And a good rule of thumb, which I've heard, and it's really true, is on video you want to kind of be you times 2. Now that doesn't mean you want to be overbearing, some type of character you're not, but you want to think about your volume and your tone and your gestures. And so if you need to increase that, because the camera may add 10 pounds, they say, but it can suck away 50% of your energy. So if you have low energy, or you don't come across as just a good flow in your wording and your volume, it's okay to bring it up. It's okay to bring it up. And also that could help kind of hype you up as well, just to have a little bit more energy. I mean, we talk about this in our program as well. You want to make sure that you have your head up whenever you are on video. My camera, as I stare at it right now, is slightly above eye level. That forces me to look up, to keep my head up, because if I look down any, I'm not going to be looking at the camera. I'm not going to be directly staring into it. And when your head is up, your chin is up a little bit, it projects your voice. Notice singers. If you've ever seen a singer on stage, then their microphone is almost higher than their mouth. They'll step up, and you'll see they'll raise their chin. Usually, in most cases, they'll raise their chin whenever they're singing, especially whenever they're singing, those loud and long chords. Now, if they want to go deeper, or they want to kind of crutch their voice, then if you do that right now, and I kind of put my chin down, I'm going to condense my vocal cords and lower my voice. So singers know how to do that, but in video, we want to be very consistent. So your camera at eye level or slightly above eye levels should get you in the habit of keeping your head up, your chin up, and that's going to help project your voice a lot better, so that even if you talk regular, that should still increase your tone a little bit as well. And of course, sitting up, sitting straight, as much as possible. That is also ideal. So you want to position yourself too as you're seated to make sure that you've got positioning in your frame and that you have good posture, because that's going to help as well. And then you're going to speak, and it's okay to, be confident. This is where you want to, if you're not confident, at least act like it. and that way you can talk through there and just say, hey, you know what? I'm talking, I'm presenting myself and presenting my information. There has to be some point or time in your life where you've presented some sort of information to someone. Maybe it was just one person. Maybe it was 5. You did something in school or college or, one of your jobs or something like that. And so this is how you act. This is how you want to present yourself, is I'm presenting a message. I want to, work through that and portray that out there. And so all of that matters. Eye contact with the camera. And what you're going to find is the more and more you do that and you think about these things, just like I always smile right before I start talking. You would notice that too on any raw videos that I do. It's like I'm sitting there getting situated, adjusting some things, and then I stop and I stare at that camera, and then big smile, and then I start talking, because that's going to come through. That's going to come through on the camera. That's going to come through in my personality. It's going to come through my feeling. I mean, just smiling, if you're staring at the camera, sometimes you'll just you'll make yourself happy, right? You smile and you're like, hey, all right, time to go. So if you're dreading this and you're frowning and looking at that camera and poor posture and your head's down, it's going to make it very difficult for you to have that positioning on camera that speaks confidence, that speaks that you know what you're doing, that speaks that you're comfortable. And it's going to be hard to start, and you're going to stumble over your words a lot more, and you're going to not come through as the professional that you want to be. And so all of those factors come into to creating really good content, because even if you're not that great in the beginning, if you sound great and you can mostly look like you know what you're doing, then it's going to make people a lot more comfortable to want to do business with you. And so that's the opportunity. And so again, and that's really going to come through repetition. The more you do that, the more you will get through that. And then I do recommend, once you record and you get something back from the editors, then you want to review that. And it's not something that you spend all your time on, but you should look at some of your footage, and look back. And what that's going to do is that's going to help you understand how the editing process works. Also, you're going to see yourself and say, hey, you know what? It really wasn't that bad after all, because I've filmed several times and I've walked away thinking, I'm not really sure if that was, that was the way I wanted it to be, but then it came through really well in editing. Plus, if you mess up or look down or something like that, you've got B-roll and other, camera angle changes or frame changes that can really adjust those types of things for you, that can hide some of those flaws. So the main thing is you want to get through there, get your content recorded, work on your posturing, work on your gesturing, work on your facial expressions, and presenting confidence at least. You could still be a little bit nervous or not 100% sure, but that's okay. You get started and you work through that. Then once it gets edited and comes back, you want to watch that so you can see the final version, so you can start to understand, okay, oh, I see how that works and how that comes together now. And so it's not a big deal. Every single little thing that I messed up or screwed up or had to start over was just erased. It was gone. It wasn't there. And it looks like I'm just making a very smooth video. And that's what you want to work on. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you get with that, and the more you start to find your voice on there. And I think the more of your personality starts to come through, because you just start to relax a little bit more and work through those types of things. So it makes it very, very good to continually work on that. And also, again, find what really fits you and your style. Maybe you stand up. I don't know. I'm usually seated in my videos, but maybe you have a standing desk or one that raises, or you have a camera set up if you want to stand. But the thing is that if you're standing, and we've made some videos like that. You want to be mindful, again, of your posturing, your gesturing, swaying, stepping, adjusting your steps if your feet get tired. So you want to make sure all those types of things whenever you're looking at. The other thing I want to look at is when I'm playing back, I want to look for words that I'm saying that are not necessary. I want to look for filler words or words that I'm just adding in there that don't make sense. I said I do my best not to say and if I do say it's almost programmed in my brain to where it's so quick it'll be a very slight because as soon as I hear myself say it, I'll almost cut myself off, and therefore I just eliminate that. So it becomes very, very quick and very intentional. If I start to hear myself say it, it's almost gone that quickly because I don't want to fill my gaps with I would rather just pause. And for me, it's a hard listening to somebody that has the long I don't know. It sounds like they're eating some chicken soup or something. I'm kind of like, let's. So I try to eliminate that. You should likely never hear me say the word like. That is something that I have done my absolute best to eliminate the word like from my vocabulary. So I do everything I can not to say, like this, like that, like this. That's a huge filler word, and it's completely unnecessary. So I do my best not to say that. I just feel like I sound more educated, and I don't sound exactly like a Kardashian. Not that that's a bad thing. They definitely make way more money than me, but I just in the conversational piece of it, I don't want to be saying like all the time. There's also another phrase that apparently I've picked up that I didn't even recognize that I was saying it, and I started to notice it in some of my videos. So now that's something else that I'm working on eliminating from my vocabulary. It is a filler phrase. So I have to think about that going forward and catch myself as I say that. I literally have to hear me say it, and then it repeats itself back in my head, and I have to think about that. So if I can catch myself before I say that, then I can stop it. But now I'm mindful of it. I'm aware of it. So I'm going to do my best to remove that. And usually I can do pretty good about doing those types of things. So again, before saying you could pause. A blank pause can be just actually more powerful than just saying that. Could be less distracting, and I just said it there too. So and there again, so now that I'm talking about it, maybe I'm triggering myself there to say it even more often. But the thing is that you want to get through a flow and a cadence so that even if it does come up, how do you eliminate that? And you could probably watch a YouTube video. I'm sure I've never done that. I've just tried to recognize it myself. But I'm sure there's YouTube videos on there how to eliminate filler words or ums and ahs and saying the word like if you're not sure. I'm pretty conscious about it, so I will catch myself. And so even if I'm coming up on a phrase that does need the word like, I will try to use something else to substitute that word. But all of that is just, again, and it comes down to you and your preference. I mean, if you're the type of person that says that all the time, or that is part of your personality, again, maybe that is you. I don't know. The thing is that you want to work through that. Be mindful of what you feel is important for you moving forward and what you feel should be removed and what you can do better on. So that will allow you to get better by reviewing that content. Now, that does take time, and it's something that just you have to work on a consistent basis. But if you're doing 2 or 3 videos a week, your growth curve is going to go a lot faster than it is just on 1 video a week. In 1 video a week, depending on how you're filming that, you could be batching that to 4 videos in 1 day for the whole month. And that in my opinion, is a little bit more difficult to find the cadence and find the flow of getting consistent if you're only recording once a month. Now, if you're recording once a month, I think if you're doing multiple videos, by the time you hit the second or third or fourth video, you're probably in a good flow from there, but usually that first one is pretty rusty. But I think you want to do what is best for you and your schedule and how you can fit that in. So if you want to record one day a week or one day every other week, or you want to record a little bit every day, I mean, for me, my ideal situation would be record one video each day of the week. Just knock it out in the morning, at least an office video. If we want to go out and do some neighborhood videos, those are going to take a lot longer and probably a little bit more of the day. So that's something I have to plan on. But other than that, I want to keep the back end filled with my office videos so that especially whenever I travel, like today, and I'm gone for 5 days, I have plenty of content that's going out. So just like last week there's a new PGA center that just opened literally almost a couple of blocks from me. PGA headquarters, 2 championship golf courses, Omni Hotel. It's an amazing property. And Alex and I went out there. When did we meet? Probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was literally on meetings all day long, and I could check my calendar and tell you when I met him. I was on meetings all day long. Yeah, 3 o'clock we met. By 5 o'clock, 5 to 6, I think within a couple of hours, we had all of that stuff filmed. He had it droned. He went an hour ahead of me and droned everything. And then we walked through a majority of that property and recorded section by section by section. And then Travis and the girls, everybody showed up, and we had dinner there. And so that way we could do a little outtake on dinner, and that's a good piece of content right there. And that's what I like. I was able to work during the day, get that done in the afternoon, but that'll take some more production there in the hours. And as I do more of those types of things, it becomes a lot more natural, especially if I have Alex there and I'm doing content where I'm used to doing content by myself. Then he becomes a little bit of a coach and a producer, a director, I could say, more of a director for me. Because sometimes he'll say, I don't know, I didn't like that shot, or that wasn't a good angle, or we have to reposition or redo some things. But ultimately, it all comes down to repetition, getting in the reps and continually working on improving your craft. So, Chrissy, anything you want to add in there?
Yeah, and I would just say, something that I hear in the video editing program a lot is like, I want to be just like Levi. And so sometimes people will even try to use like the same vocal inflections and like the same hand gestures and things like that. And I can tell you that 9 times out of 10, it looks very stiff and it sounds very forced. And so I think it's really important to recognize that modeling versus copying is something that is very important when you're doing things on YouTube. It's very easy to see when someone's being, I wouldn't say fake. Fake is a little bit harsh, but overall just trying too hard to be something that they're not. You want to be authentic, and I say that word a lot. Being authentic is very important on YouTube. It translates very well through the camera and on the other side of the viewer's side when you're actually yourself. And so I think it's really important to, as you're practicing videos, sometimes I think it's good to even create videos that you're not going to post, but just for the sake of practice, just so that you can find your own voice in the way that you kind of flow. Because the success for Levi has not really all been about, a lot of it is the model and the way that we teach how to do the videos. But beyond that, when people call, it's because they really like Levi. They relate to him. They appreciate the way that he presents the information. So ultimately it's about his personality. So if you're not showing your own personality, people are not going to be calling you for you. And it also will make for a difficult customer experience when you actually try to sell with these people, because they're expecting somebody different than they see on the camera. You want to be as true to yourself as you possibly can, because ultimately personality is what sells people on YouTube.
Yeah, great point. I like the model versus copy. Clearly we're giving you the roadmap, showing you everything that we do, and you really can't I mean, you shouldn't straight copy us. And I mean, if you're in Dallas, you probably could, but still it's really going to come through as inauthentic. And I think it could turn people off as well. So just, work on finding your voice. It's very simple to look at that and format and model, but it's always been my formula of success is usually starting out as something is I'm like, okay, who's at the top? How did they get there? How do I model that? How do I adjust it to fit my personality? And then how can I do better? So I always want to adjust to fit my personality so that I'm figuring out my own way and my own methods to do that. So yes, you want to use this as a guide and as a model, not as a straight copy. You want to be yourself and present yourself in your ways and figure out different ways that you can position it. But otherwise, the format, the flow of how we do things, follow that structure. But that's why you want to really work on developing that skill so that it becomes very natural for you and fits your personality. So let's jump over to some questions real quick. We got a few in the chat. What's up, Mia? Glad to have you with us today. Mia says, when you have a chance to answer this. Okay, I've been doing shorts. I'm not getting anywhere. My views and retention is gaining, so I need to start doing the long version. When I do the long version and get 10 views, does that screw up my algorithm if I even have one? Yeah, Mia, I think, yes, you have an algorithm. Everybody has an algorithm. But I don't know. I'd have to look at your channel to kind of dig in a little bit more. I mean, if you're just doing shorts, you've probably got to do more shorts. How many shorts are you doing? How consistent are you on those? When are you publishing? Let me know how you're doing that. But I think everybody should really build your foundation off of long form content. I just have seen long form content convert so much better than any other avenue. And then build a short strategy from there. And we talked about this a little bit. Somebody asked me this question in a group today. And I think short form is an awareness campaign. It's a way to bring people into your ecosystem, but they're not likely intentional. You're going to reach a broader audience, and they could maybe not be in the market for another 2, 3, or 4 years. Now, getting them in your ecosystem, not a bad thing, but that's where if you gain a lot of subscribers or views from shorts, it's not really, doesn't necessarily mean that's going to convert into business. It was funny. I was listening to Sean Cannell's podcast, and he was talking, I think they were at Video Marketing World or some conference, and he said all the short form creators on shorts, or maybe it was just shorts, or maybe he said short form creators. I would say probably on YouTube. He said the short form creators on YouTube that some have millions of followers, millions of views, they were doing these meet and greets at the conference and nobody was showing up and nobody was there. So his point was, is there a true relationship there through that short form content? Is it reaching the wrong audience? Are you just gaining views for views? Is it really turning into business? And that's something that we've always talked about as our number one goal is conversion. It's to make the phone ring. So that is something. Mia says 3 times a week. Yeah, I mean, I think shorts are probably really a once a day thing, minimum. Unfortunately, that's the other problem with short form content. It takes a lot of volume. I don't know a lot of people that post one short form piece of content per week and become successful from that. I think it can happen, but it's few and far between that I know of. It's really kind of a death by volume model at the beginning, and then once you gain the traction or the viewership, maybe it starts to come from there. But I would double up on the shorts, Mia. But yeah, I would, if you're only getting 10 views per video on your long form, I'd have to look at optimization. A lot of those things are probably off on the video, I would assume. Let's see, Luciano, I never used this platform before. Is it just audio? Yep, that's correct. It's audio. Joshua, what's up, Joshua? Good to see you, my man. He says, yes, post the raw video. Lori says that would be great. Yep. Sarah said the raw footage in the course was so helpful. I'm new to YouTube, and it helped me feel like I can do this too and don't have to be perfect. Yeah, thank you. All right, so you're saying that, yeah. So that's good to know. So yeah, we thought that's why we posted in there, just so you can kind of see how you can do that. Can you do both shorts and a bit longer so it will be a video versus a short? So Mia says, can you do both shorts and a bit longer so it will be a video versus a short? I don't know. I wouldn't do any vertical format on YouTube longer than a minute. If it's going to be a short, I would keep it a short. So if you're going to do vertical video, I would keep that to under 60 seconds. If you're going to go longer than that, I just think you should make videos, real estate videos, probably a minimum 10 minutes. I hate to put minimums on there, but the longer you make the video, the more you're going to stretch out the average view duration. That's what really does help out quite a bit as well. And when we make 30-minute videos, they get watched. People are researching. We want to keep this in mind. People are on YouTube researching, and when they're researching, they are intentional. And when they're intentional, they're dialed in. When YouTube suggests our videos, our average view duration is 10 minutes and 48 seconds. That's powerful. That's extremely powerful. They say it takes over 6 minutes of video consumption for somebody to start to even understand who you are. So we're knocking that out within one video. When the average view duration is 10 minutes and 48 seconds. That's a long time in today's ADD world, right? Everybody says nobody has an attention span these days. Attention spans are dead. But here we are getting 10-minute average, 11-minute average view durations on our videos, mainly because they're 20 and 30 minutes. John Bell says, do you say as well? I think I do. I think I've been called out in my comments before, actually. I've been hit a few times. I think somebody said, stop saying as well. I was like, okay, all right. So somebody brought that one to my attention once. So hopefully that's one I'll be cutting down there as well. Then I just said it right there. That's funny. All right. Do you have a thumbnail style you like? Yes, one that gets clicks. That could be a whole nother topic. Maybe that's next week's topic, Chrissy, thumbnails.
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's see. Oh, Mia says sometimes I get 500 to 2,000 views. That's pretty good. With long videos, I get 5. Can I do both at the same time? Yeah, you can do both on the channel. Absolutely. I would probably stagger them. If you're going to do a long form video on a Monday and a Thursday, then fill in the rest of the days with shorts, possibly. You just have to play around with it. But I would assume that maybe the long form content is not optimized correctly or completely. Therefore, it's not getting found in search. Thumbnails could be off. If thumbnails are off and they're not getting clicks, YouTube's not going to promote it. So there's a lot of factors in there, Mia, that could be playing into that. So Living in Austin, Texas is on here, and he says, what other ways can I promote my channel besides creating shorts to drive traffic to long-form videos? You can do all kinds of things. You can put it in your newsletter. You can email it out. You could post it elsewhere. The thing is that I've noticed we stuck on this a lot. We were very adamant about this in the beginning, which is never really sharing the content, just letting the algorithm do its work. Now here we're getting noticed a lot more. I'm speaking at events. There's just ways I can't prevent people from, but ultimately they have to search and find the channel, which is fine. But we'll test out a few things. I think it's something I noticed a lot of creators, Think Media, a lot of people, a lot of well-known creators with millions of subscribers will email out their videos. So, is that going to kill your channel? I don't think so. We're doing a couple of test runs on it ourselves, including it in our weekly newsletter and things like that, just to test it out. Because we're at a point now that I'm a lot more comfortable testing things out because we have an established audience. We're generating business. In the beginning, I was extremely strict on everything that I believed to be true. And everything I believe to be true is what I believe to be true. And usually what we found works or what doesn't work. But that doesn't mean what doesn't work for us won't work for somebody else or vice versa. So you have to continually test. But at the same time, in the beginning, I think really sticking with the algorithm, producing more content, focusing on search, and creating good thumbnails, creating good content, getting better, improving, those types of things really grow your channel the most. Sending it out to friends and family, probably not the best idea, I would say. Sending it out in your newsletter depends on your email list. I mean, there's just a lot of factors. I think we just kept it very strict, and now we're willing to explore new options and opportunities because we've got the business and we've got the audience. So we're not worried about if we do one thing, it's not going to completely tank our channel. So there's another thumbnail question. I'm going to pass on that one for right now. Let me see. Did you ever get your SEO episode posted on your podcast, or was that the one you didn't record? I don't know. Chrissy, does that ring a bell? The SEO episode?
We have tons of SEO stuff on our podcast. I think the one that we didn't record was the health journey one. So that's the only one that I can think of that we didn't record.
That one, and then I remember with Candace, that podcast.
Oh, that may have been the case. But yeah, I mean, we have tons of SEO training. So that's, I mean, if one of them didn't record, there's probably 5 others you could refer to.
Yeah. Let me see. John says, I bought your book today. Delivery this afternoon. Amazon's awesome. Yeah, that is cool. Awesome. So, let's see. Solomon, Levi, is it best not to say the community you're in when you're doing a neighborhood tour? It depends. I think that really depends. I typically don't, but we're going to work on a video where we're going to do specific neighborhoods. This is the other thing is now that I moved a little bit further north than what I'm used to in Dallas, that's just where all of our business is. And it's funny, as I mentioned, I've already been recognized by 2 people in the neighborhood because this is where we have a lot of business. So now I'm in close proximity as well. It's very nice to drive 2 minutes down the street to the PGA headquarters and all that stuff. And just all the growth is happening up here. So now I will start to focus on some very specific neighborhoods, and we're going to test that out and see how it is. But otherwise, I try to leave out some of that information to get people to call or comment or ask questions or engage. Luciana says, so shorts are counted as viewed hours as well. Well, they'll add into your watch time of the channel. They don't count as view duration as far as overall view duration. What they really count for, as far as, what's the right word for that? What is the word for that I'm looking for? Let me say this. If you make a 10-minute video and you make one short and the 10-minute video is watched 100% and the short is watched 100%, that doesn't bring your watch time. Maybe it's watch time, yeah. It doesn't bring your watch time, your average watch time to 5 minutes. That's not how really YouTube is working on that. They have it separated. Now, what they are counting was your short watched. What was the percentage your short was watched. So if it's watched 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80%, that's what matters to YouTube. But publishing a 10-minute video and a 1-minute video does not bring your average watch time of your channel to 5 minutes. So you're not hurting it that way. They have that separated out. So they're separating long form versus short form, but the percentage viewed of that video is what matters the most. Brooke says, I see shorts as a quick way to promote your local restaurants. Yep, if you want to do that. Let's see. Does your Google My Business, it's Google Business Profile now, I guess is what they've changed it to. Google Business Profile page grow when you leave reviews for other businesses? Oh, no, that's more like Google Maps. So that's, if you're a local guide, I think you can kind of direct traffic, and I don't know, I've got over 5 million views on my Google Maps. I'm not sure if I can really track anything to that. And it's not necessarily linked, as far as I know, to Google Business Profile. Now, I put in the description, search living in Dallas, Texas on YouTube to learn about YouTube, but I just can't really track it. So I have, Derek, my man Derek. What's up, Derek? Giving reviews does nothing for your, there you go. I didn't realize we had the expert in here. I was looking through the chat. So yeah, Derek's the expert on Google Business. So that's what he's saying. Yeah, I mean, I've got on my Google Maps, or I'm a local guide is what they call it. I'm a local guide. I even got a little pin. They sent me a little pin in the mail, a little camera guy. It's kind of cool. But I've got over 5 million views on my stuff, and I can't tell you that it does anything. So, but in my profile, I wrote search living in Dallas, Texas on YouTube if you want to learn all about Dallas, Texas. So I am trying to get some, shoe some business over to YouTube that way. But, the people that will actually do that, I have no idea, can't track them. And nobody has ever called us and said, Levi, I really love your Google reviews. Thank you so much. That's why I want to buy a house with you. So it's just one of those things I do when I remember, if I'm out and about at a restaurant, a new restaurant. Actually, I took a bunch of pictures at the PGA. I haven't posted those yet. I mean, I've got some stuff with a lot of views on some of these pictures. It's funny. So I don't know. You can play around with it. I would rather post pictures on Google Maps than post it on Facebook, of my lunch. You post it on Facebook, I don't think anybody really cares, but you post it on Google Maps, you definitely get a lot of views. So that would be my thoughts on that one. Let me see. Chrissy, anything else you want to add?
No, not really. I think that ultimately it just comes down to practice. It's just what he said at the very beginning, guys. Just make sure you're getting out there, you're practicing. And really when it comes down to just kind of speaking back to the view time and the view duration and everything, I always tell people with short form content, create the short form content to support the long form content, not the other way around, because you have to think about who's actually watching your videos. The YouTube algorithm it's a fancy way of saying how well people engage with your videos and how relevant are your videos to your audience. It's not like there's one set algorithm that if you get off the straight and narrow, all of a sudden your channel is tanked. Your particular algorithm is created for you individually. So if you're creating content that engages an audience, that brings people back, that shares a story, that gets engagement in the comments, that's going to boost your stuff out to your audience. It's not that you have to do it a certain way in order to do it, because Levi was successful, with this video, you have to do that video too. It may not be relevant for your area. So that's where we kind of go back to the modeling versus copying. Think about your audience, get into the head of your audience, and that's what's going to actually make your videos go places, not trying to create shorts based around, maybe a restaurant that you like or whatever. If that short form content doesn't speak to what people are actually searching for, it's not going to get boosted out. So that's why I always say start with the long form, create short form around that, and that will create the engagement to kind of add a little bit of spice to the long form and move people back to the long form content.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, I think that does it on questions for us today. I know there's a couple of questions on thumbnails, but maybe we'll just have a room next week about thumbnails and kind of get into that a little bit. And otherwise, thought we had some good engagement today, so appreciate everyone for participating. There's a link at the top for if you're on Clubhouse with us right now to go to Amazon. If you're listening to this on the podcast later on down the road, then make sure you go to Amazon and get our copy of our book, Passive Prospecting, Amazon #1 bestseller, 3 different categories, still holding strong in a couple of those categories, and was still #4 in social media for business, which is pretty cool. So it's been steady Eddie on there as well, but a really great book to add to your library. And we will see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching at no cost, schedule a call at passiveprospectingpartner.com.